With the addition of Orion to the park's lineup, Kings Island now has 14 roller coasters to choose from, ranging from kiddie, family, and extreme thrill machines. This Cedar Fair park has a great collection to enjoy. Additionally, Kings Island's claim to fame is that they currently feature the most wooden coaster track of any other amusement park on the planet, with a total of 18,804 feet of track. Alright, to the list. Number 14, Great Pumpkin Coaster, built by E&F Miller Industries, opened in 1992. The kiddie coaster, do I really need to say much more? Moving on. Number 13, Flying Ace Aerial Chase, built by Vekoma, opened in 2001. Unfortunately, I don't have many positive things to say about Flying Ace Aerial Chase. First, the capacity is terrible, the ride only operates with one train, and being one of the most popular attractions in Planet Snoopy, the line can get rather long. As for the ride experience, the layout is interesting, offering a few exciting helixes, but nothing overly intense, which makes sense, so all the little ones can enjoy the ride. Another negative is how rough this coaster can get. You'd think being a smaller roller coaster that has a max speed of only 26 miles per hour would be smoother than what it is. The train rattles so much, I was starting to think the train itself was too big for the actual track. It's shocking to know that the same manufacturer who built Dragon Flyer at Dollywood is also the ones responsible for these family headbanger inverts. I recommend sitting up front to get the best view, but I don't really think any of the rows make much difference on the roughness. Number 12, Woodstock Express, built by John C. Allen, opened in 1972. I would probably enjoy this roller coaster a little more if the trains were larger. Unfortunately, they are not because they are designed for a younger audience. The ride itself is fine, nothing truly noteworthy in my opinion. The kids will enjoy it. I know Braylon had a good time riding this roller coaster, but overall, it's a one and done for me. For those who enjoy history, this is one of the original attractions that opened with the park. Best place to ride, I guess, is in the back row. Number 11, Racer, built by John C. Allen, opened in 1972. Speaking of rides that opened with a park, Racer was Kings Island's marquee attraction back in 1972. Now, the ride goes practically unnoticed as guests walk right by the entrance to Racer as they make their way over to Orion. Personally, I think it's a shame that many will simply write this coaster off because it's still a decent time. During my visits in 2020, both sides were racing each other, which was fantastic to see. There are many of these racing wooden coasters that seem to only operate one side of the track, but thankfully Racer is not one of them. Overall, this is an enjoyable classic wooden coaster. If anything, take it for a spin if you want to get slightly closer look at Orion. My favorite place to ride Racer is in the back row. Number 10, Invertigo, built by Vekoma, opened in 1999. Arguably one of my favorite boomerang roller coasters, I experienced no headbanging on my most recent ride, which was a pleasant surprise. The ride features forward and backward facing seats, which honestly doesn't matter because everyone, regardless of which seat you are in, will end up facing forward and backward during the course of the ride. An awkward feature, though not a problem right now with the park's social distancing policies, is unless you are seated in the very front or very back, you will be facing someone who may not be in your party. It can get awkward when you are almost forced to stare at them or they are staring at you as you are being pulled up the lift hill. Regardless of this awkward feature, the ride is still an enjoyable attraction that shouldn't be overlooked like your typical boomerang coasters. Sit in the very front or back to experience the strongest forces. Number 9, Backlot Stunt Coaster, built by Premier Rides, opened in 2005. When Kings Island was still under ownership by Paramount, Backlot Stunt Coaster was known as Italian Job Stunt Track. The ride is well themed for Kings Island, even utilizing fire effects. The launch may not be uber intense, but that giant upward helix produces some decent G-forces that practically make me gray out every time. Beyond that first moment, the rest of the ride doesn't offer many strong forces. My favorite moment is after you encounter the helicopter that the roller coaster dives into a rather long dark tunnel. Because the train is very small, any row offers the same experience. Sit in the front for an unhindered view. Number 8. Adventure Express. Built by Aerodynamics, opened in 1991. This is one weird mine train roller coaster. The ride starts off with no lift, but instead begins making its way down into the valley. The first lift comes about halfway through the ride. Like many aero coasters from the 90s, most of the transitions are janky, but honestly, I think this adds to the overall character of the ride. Adventure Express ends in a very anticlimactic way. The roller coaster starts pulling you up the second lift hill inside a tunnel. There are these Mayan statues surrounding you, pounding these rocks or drums or something. There's a giant head at the top of the hill with these glowing eyes. All this seems to be foreshadowing something major about to happen, but instead you roll out of the tunnel right into the station. As for the best place to ride, I recommend up front or in the back, but honestly, I don't think it matters. Number 7. Flight of Fear. Built by Premier Rides, opened in 1996. Premier Rides changed the coaster game when they introduced their LIM-launched roller coasters Flight of Fear, one at Kings Island and a clone at Kings Dominion. These launching roller coasters are completely enclosed, featuring 4 inversions. The ride is a giant spaghetti bowl of track designed to produce multiple moments of head-chopping elements. Unfortunately, the lap bar is very restricting, making it a challenge for taller people to fit into the ride. Thus, why you won't normally see me standing in line. As for the best place to ride, I really don't know, but as always, either front or back rows should be a good place to start. Although the view in the front row won't be much better than anywhere else because the coaster is in the dark. Number 6. Banshee. Built by Bolliger and Mabillard, opened in 2014. I know some will be shocked to see how low I have Banshee, not even cracking my top 5 at the park. Unfortunately, this coaster has a nasty rattle that prevents me from ranking it any higher. Banshee is one of the largest B&M inverts, featuring 7 inversions. The ride features some strong G-forces, especially during that pretzel knot inversion. The final inversion of the roller coaster is also the ride's most unique element, a slow inline twist. This moment changes pace from intense G-forces to some nice hang time. As for where to ride, the back row may offer a nice whip, but the front row will have the best view and also the smoothest row of the ride. Number 5. Bat. Built by Aerodynamics, opened in 1993. Just walking to this roller coaster makes you feel as if you left the rest of the park. It's tucked out far to the left, down into the valley. The station sits up high off the ground, hovering across the valley. As far as I understand, both Bat here at Kings Island and Vortex at Canada's Wonderland are cloned coasters or feature very similar layouts. This might sound strange, but for suspended coasters in North America, these two are the only ones to function with only one lift hill. Both Ninja, Six Flags Magic Mountain, and Iron Dragon, Cedar Point, operate with 2 lifts. Bat is a roller coaster that feels like it only gets faster and faster until the very end. The ride comes close to the trees and ground to create many near-miss moments. My favorite place to ride Bat is in the back row. Number 4. The Beast. Built in-house, opened in 1979. The legendary Beast. As of making this video, Beast is not only the longest wooden roller coaster in the world, but the longest roller coaster operating in the United States, with 7,359 feet of track. Beast will take riders on an epic journey through the forest behind Kings Island. The giant helix that concludes the ride is one of the most intense elements you'll ever experience on any wooden roller coaster. The first half of the ride is best experienced while riding at night. In fact, the Beast is well known for delivering some of the best night ride experiences of any roller coaster. My personal favorite place to ride Beast is up near the front, but try to avoid sitting over the wheels, as this will exasperate the roughness that is the Beast. Okay, we reached the top 3 roller coasters at Kings Island. Up until this point, I've had a pretty easy time ranking the roller coasters, but these final 3 roller coasters were a challenge. I love each of them for similar but yet different reasons. All deliver some great airtime, speed, and unique elements. Up until the moment of me recording this video, I've changed the ranking. Alright, let's get to number 3. Mystic Timbers, built by Great Coasters International, opened in 2017. When Mystic Timbers was announced in 2016, I remember hearing all the complaints from the coaster enthusiasts that Kings Island was getting yet another wooden roller coaster. Well, little did they know how amazing this attraction would turn out to be. The theming for this ride is actually well done. The theming surrounding the ride incites fear and curiosity to what's exactly lurking inside the shed. Unfortunately, the shed turned out to be a letdown of sorts, but even still, the theming inside the event building is above par for Cedar Fair. The ride itself is a fast-paced wooden roller coaster that features multiple moments of airtime. After swooping down the first drop, Mystic Timbers keeps up the speed almost for the entirety of the rest of the ride. Being 3 years old, which isn't really that old, I'm still surprised how smooth this roller coaster is. GCI really did a fantastic job with Mystic Timbers. The only ding I have against this coaster is the lap bar. It's not a bad lap bar, but when compared to the elite clamshell restraints on Orion or Diamondback, it doesn't compare well. I found myself getting stapled rather easily, hindering myself from some of the better airtime moments. The best place to ride in Mystic Timbers is in the front row. Other than that whip being yanked over the first drop, the rest of the ride is better enjoyed up front instead of in the back. Number 2. Diamondback, built by B&M, opened in 2009. Right up to the moment of me creating this video, I changed my rankings multiple times for both Diamondback and Orion. Diamondback is a fantastic hypercoaster and currently my favorite hypercoaster by B&M. The back row delivers some legendary sustained airtime. I was flying out of my seat during every hill. It's funny because I thought this coaster would be my favorite ride, but it has a few flaws that will make me hold back in ranking. First is the rattle. At the bottom of some of the drops, the ride has a nasty rattle that hits rather suddenly, but thankfully it doesn't last long. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but Kara was annoyed more by it than I was. The second reason why I'm giving Diamondback the second place ranking is consistency. Diamondback is almost a back road or bust kind of ride. The front rows aren't awful, but will deliver significantly less airtime, especially during those final bunny hills. In fact, I'd argue that up near the front, I got no airtime hill after the mid-course brake run. If you ride in the back row, every hill sends you flying out of your seat. I was amazed at how strong and long some of these airtime moments lasted. Number 1. Orion, built by B&M, opened in 2020. It's the new shiny toy of 2020, which makes me apprehensive about giving it the number 1 spot. However, after getting multiple rides on Orion, my appreciation for this Giga coaster has only grown. I used to think that Orion had a rattle of sorts, but during my most recent visit, those issues seemed to be resolved. I don't know if it was a bad set of wheels or the train I was riding on, but the rattle issue seemed to be no more. The airtime is very good, including that first drop, which feels as if you are falling out of your seat for multiple seconds. The wave turn and turnaround elements have a nice touch of floater airtime and laterals, making me feel like I could fall out of the side of the train. The speed hill is insane, delivering some of the strongest negative Gs I've ever felt on a B&M. The bank turn before the brakes is yet another great moment of airtime. Heck, even flying into the brakes will pop you out of your seat. A few months ago, I thought that the front row was the best place to ride Orion, but now after my recent rides, I'd argue that the back row is the best place to ride. Every airtime moment seems to be sustained a little longer in those back rows. However, the front rows are still decent and are worth checking out. Well, that does it for my Kings Island coaster ranking. I'm sure some of my picks were a little surprising. Heck, they were somewhat surprising to me also. Kings Island has a solid collection of roller coasters and rivals almost any other Cedar Fair park. Actually, I'd love to pit Kings Island and Hershey Park against each other and see which one comes out on top. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. And as always, please subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content coming your way by X Scream Thrills.